Everybody. I hope everybody's having a good morning so far. And I can't believe the weekend is about to come around, and of course the holiday is about to come around, which means Black Friday is going to come around, and Black Friday sales, as they would put it, during Christmas season, there's always more and more sales going around. But anyways, that's not what I'm really here to talk about. I'm here to talk about one specific topic, and that is dealing with your career and your financial well-being. Okay, so here are some very important things that a lot of people don't know about. Okay, I have a friend who is a licensed life insurance agent. His name is Phil, and he actually has had worked. He got his license as a life insurance agent, and we had this conversation about how important it is to have life insurance, because a lot of people, especially in my age, which I'm like 31 through 35 years old, in that range, we don't think about life insurance. We don't think about burial deaths. We don't think about any of that stuff. But it's important for my family, because knowing that my mom is 58, my dad is close to 62 years old. So that retirement age, my dad is already, about to fully retire. So these are some very important things that a lot of people don't know about health. And that is, if your parents are going through and they're close to, being a senior citizen, then you need to make sure that you get life insurance. Because what happens if you don't prepare for life insurance, your cost of burial cost is a lot of money. And those commercials that people always talk about, $5,000 for burial costs, $8,000 for burial costs. I'm telling you, without having life insurance, you are paying a high cost of burial costs. My mom, underneath Social Security, she can't have life insurance. But a lot of people in America don't realize how much money they are spending on life insurance. Nonetheless, you always have to have a power of attorney, a living will before you die, because without that, you're not going to be able to do much of anything. A power of attorney just in case something happens to your loved one, if they, get hospice or whatever it is, And so those are very important things that a lot of people don't understand about insurance, that's very important. Another thing I want to talk to you guys about is when you are dealing with Social Security and retirement. This is where it gets so confusing, and I know a lot of people, even with college degrees, don't even understand this concept. Okay, when you are filing for Social Security and SSI or SSA, which is mean you're applying for Social Security and you worked for a number of years and getting back your checks. Retirement is only going to get you so much. As a person who, I've had to study this kind of stuff, because I knew when I was going to, go ahead and, file for retirement, whatever, I knew I had to, make sure what I was getting myself into. And so these are important things that you guys have to realize. And also, if your family, this is also very crucial, is knowing that, if you are dealing with your family, a lot of people don't understand. I watched a whole webinar about this the other day, and they were talking about how your family can affect your financial future. Because the thing about it is, I remember taking out my private loan. My dad was a co-signer of my loan. So he co-signed me, basically signing off his name to co-sign paperwork for my private loan. And eventually that messed up my credit. And so it's very important whenever you are applying for a loan and you're dealing with somebody who has bad credit, make sure that you are aware of what you're doing. Because at the time, I was not fully aware that my dad was going through a lot of hardships with his credit. and I was much younger than I was now, so I didn't realize that. But now looking back on it, I really did not want him to, he was already dealing with a lot of mess with his finances, so eventually I had to have him as a co-signer, and so we took out a $6,000 private loan and all this mess and all this other stuff. But it's very important in the United States to realize what private loans are and what federal Pell grants. The My Loan Servicing, which is Fed Student Loan Servicing. So also, this is very important. I see this question, time by time. I know a lot of people wondering how are they going to pay off their student loan debts. And I put my loans on deferment because I knew that eventually I was going to have to pay that back. Right now I'm on an income-driven plan, a repayment plan basically, to repay back my loans by the end of the year. And they give you a 30-day grace period to pay back those loans. It's either a 30-day or 60-day grace period before you can, you can start repaying back your loans. So it's really important that you be aware of where your student loans are at, because I know a lot of times even my friend Phil was like, oh, I was behind on my student loans, and therefore he ended up being in deferment and now being in default. So don't put yourself through that. If you are dealing with a loan company, a loan servicer, you want to make sure that you are paying off your loans and you are getting in contact with your loan servicer. My school had already made it clear that we were going to have to pay back our student loans, and the bullshit part about it was I paid back Mid-America, but they never gave out online, students scholarship money. And that's where, I had applied for several different scholarships. I had applied for every scholarship that was available. I contacted everybody, did not ever receive a scholarship. So this is where a lot of the, problems arise, and why a lot of college students, if you are thinking about taking out a loan, where it be, for me, $30,000, or if you're taking a $50,000 loan or a $100,000 loan, be prepared to realize that you are going to have to pay that back. Even if you are on, if the only way you will be able to get away from paying off your student loan is if you have a long-term disability and you cannot work, and so therefore you cannot pay it back. Otherwise, if you are in a working class American, you are going to have to pay back those loans, and those loans with interest. My student loans, I have realized, I'm going to have to pay those off, and I want to make sure I pay those off on time so that my interest rate does not go up very high. And because regardless, however you decide to do it, you're going to have to pay those back. Another thing I wanted to touch on is that, a lot of times women, we tend to spend a lot more money on things that we don't need. And I know this to be very clear. Every woman in this world would like, clothes, jewelry, makeup, you name it, we gotta have it. That's why I work for Avon. It's because I know that I love my stuff. So I want to tell you guys something. When it comes to spending, I've opened up my savings account. Eventually, if I realized that I needed a savings account because that was the money that I was going to have in order if for emergencies to come up and take out the money that I needed to have during that time. So it's very important to open up a savings account, and if you can, follow up with your banker to making sure that, hey, you got your savings account, and making sure that that banker knows, and you can establish a good relationship between you and your banker so that you can have, a better, financial status, as you would put it. So making sure you contact your banker. I used to go into Capital One. I used to talk to the banker, and I used to tell them my situation. And also, when I was banking with another company, which was called, it was another bank that I had banked with before, at Regions Bank. Basically, they are very good with handling stuff like that. So making sure that you get somebody who's a financial advisor to tell you what you need to do throughout that time period that you need to, get your finances together. They can help you open up a savings account. They can help you set, just dealing with your credit, your credit cards, or if you need to get secure credit card. A lot of banks have that. Like I said, the better relationship you have with a bank, the better, thing that you have going on in your life, so that you don't have to worry so much about your financial situation. Another thing I wanted to lastly touch on is that, I know as a college graduate student, I have earned the, just not just my degree, but I have taken a lot of knowledge that I have had to learn over the years, studying 3 Bible classes and my medical classes, medical terminology, and just opening up to people about, how I feel about my overall future and stuff. So it's really important to recognize where you're weak in and working on the things that you need to work on, and be persistent about those things, because the more persistent you are about working, the better off you will be in the future. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Until then, take care now.